What's up, guys, and welcome to the heroic Garalon raid guide. This is, as always, going to be a 25-man raid guide, point of view from an arcane mage perspective. Keep in mind, guys, that again, the normal mechanics will scroll above the head in the normal videos. That is where you want to go first before you watch any of the heroic videos, as I cover the actual normal mechanics in depth, and then I just elaborate on them in these heroics. The first heroic, the difference is going to be is Crush is not tied to switching pheromones, okay? So how this really plays into it is with the way that healing works and the amount of DPS that you need, what we found to work the best was about 13 to 14 stacks you need to switch. You also need to understand that you may need to switch earlier than that. If a crush is coming, you may need to go to 16 if it's, you know what I mean? It's based on when the crush is coming. The crush will come in certain time intervals, and obviously the more stacks of the pheromone that you have, the more raid damage is going out, plus you stack that with the crush, you will wipe. So the trick is you want to stay roughly between, switching it between 12 and 16 stacks. Again, depending on when the crush is coming. Always make sure that you're resetting your stacks. If they're going to be at 9, 10 or more going into a crush, make sure that you reset them early just for that fact. Now remember also that you can switch the pheromones back between the two people if they didn't get the stacks up, but just remember that once you switch, you do get that debuff, and that debuff lasts for 7 minutes, so you can't take it again once you get to that stack point. So that's one thing that you really need to understand. The other thing that's going to get tricky for you here is going to be switching those pheromones properly while staying away and making sure that your DPS or that your tanks, your healers, and your DPS all know when you're going to have to really sprint. As you'll notice in this video, I actually got kind of put in the worst position because when I got it, he was pretty much right on me. So I had to blink, speed burst across, anything to get out of the range of his cleave, and then I was fine to go. Just make sure that you're not getting hit by that. Again, it will kill you, and with the pheromones, it's almost impossible for your group to really pick you back up with the pheromones, get you doing what you need to be doing. It's just a pain, so make sure that you understand that. Again, when you're switching out, make sure that when you're running back, you're not running into the boss's cleave, you're not running through any pheromone trails. As again, these things all hit extremely, extremely hard in heroic mode. The only other main difference, though, however, guys, in this fight is that once he hits 33%, he is now tankable, okay? So keep that in mind, that once he hits 33%, he will now have an aggro table. So what you need to do is, obviously, your tanks need to pick that up. You are still doing the pheromones, but the nice thing is you don't need to kite them around the room. You just have the people who are in the order just keep taking it, going back and forth, and they can pretty much go wherever they want in the room. It doesn't really matter. Just understand that you still do need to switch them, as it still will hurt. He will not crush anymore at this point. However, the pheromone damage that comes out is ridiculous. The tanks are now starting to get hit like a truck. And this is pretty much the burn phase of the fight. The biggest trick to this fight, everyone, is just making sure that when you're going through the first phase that you're doing it as clean as you possibly can and trying to conserve as much of the healer's mana as you can going into phase 2 when he hits 33%, because that's when you're really burning into him. That's when you're going to see tons and tons of damage come out. It's just impossible to negate any of that damage, so understand that that will happen. Once you do get into phase 2, however, you pretty much all stack up to help the healers on the back of them, except for whoever's got the pheromones. They're doing their little pheromone thing still, and then the rest of you are literally just tunneling into this boss, burning him, popping your healing cooldown, cycling everything that you can. As far as heroism goes, we actually found it a little bit more beneficial at the start, but that was just our group. That was the way that we killed it. Keep in mind also that the legs, they still do take away 3% of his health, so as you'll see on this kill, we were about 2 seconds from the berserk timer, but we killed that leg and got him down that last couple percent that we needed. It's just extremely important. I can't stress to you how much getting those legs down for your melee and doing that double damage to the boss really helps overall. Your range should really just be focused on burning the boss. If they can get in a leg and get a little bit of double damage without losing single target DPS on the boss, go for it. But again, remember, guys, this fight is not about how many legs you can kill, it's about killing the boss, okay? So understand that your range need to really be tunneling in there. Now, if there's range that get a DPS increase by multi-dotting let them do that. If they get, if it procs X amount more of these, or if they have a chance to get more and more of these, allow them to double dot as long as it's not taking away from their single target DPS. This is key also, just to help out your melee and to allow a little bit extra damage going out. But again, remember, at the end of the fight, we're still just trying to kill the boss, not his legs. That's not what's important. The importance is that he dies. So keep that in mind, that you do need a ton of DPS for this fight, and everybody really will need to kite, as you can tell if you're only going to 13 or 14 stacks, and you have a 7-minute fight, you're pretty much using all of your range. I think we ended up using 10, 11, 12 people to get through this fight, just to keep the stacks in check where we wanted them, where we could sufficiently handle them with our healers, and then get back on the boss. As you can see now, he's in the second phase. And again, you'll see that the pheromone guy is just literally just around the back, just, kiting a little bit. It doesn't really matter. He's going as slow as he wants, and then when it's not his turn anymore, then he stops. But this fight is really, really important that once you get to this phase, that you're just really slamming out as many heals as you can, as again, the pheromone damage that's coming out is going to be extreme. The tanks are now getting smashed. It's going to be extreme. But if you can do all the normal mode mechanics, guys, the biggest thing in this fight, again, is the kiting, the pheromone kiting. Once you get the pheromone kiting down, then it becomes a DPS race, but I can't stress you enough how you need to go in that order, okay? Start with getting the pheromone kiting in place. Once you have that down pat, once you realize the little nuances of how it works in heroic mode compared to normal mode, then worry about your DPS race. Okay, I can't tell you enough how much your healers are going to thank you if the pheromone kiters are calling things out, when they have how many stacks, when they're switching, when one needs to sprint to spin the boss a little bit quicker so he doesn't get hit by the cleave. Be vocal in this fight. There's no one who could just literally sit there and not say anything. But if you can do those things, guys, you can kill this fight. Good luck. We'll see you in the next one.